Mike, let me ask you something. When you were 19 and 31, you're at rock bottom. You've been asked this a million times, I'm sure. But, people were saying, hey, we got to make a change. And I was trying to resist that going, I don't know what Davey's doing wrong. But sometimes you get to a point where it's just change for the sake of change. You held out. How much of that had to do with, obviously you knew injuries and everything else was factoring in as you didn't have your full squad. But how much of it also was, what appears to me, Davey's strength is his personality and his, the whole 1-0 today, just win today, that positiveness that he just never let. If it was a different guy, do you think you may have made a change? Like, did his personality, is that sort of one of the reasons why you kept him and believed in him?
Well, I think the trust factor was, he and I built this bond together. I really enjoy being around him. I trust him. I've got his back. You have to evaluate the manager. And how can you evaluate the manager? With the bullpen that we had at the time, they were underachieving bullpen, let's face it. We had, we had 4 of our regular 8 players who were on the disabled list at the same time at one time.
Right.
So I was asked the question many times. I'm like, we're 50 games into this thing. How do you distinguish, what kind of team we are when we haven't had our team here yet? So, and Davey and I met, countless times, through this period. And I tell Davey all the time, I've been the GM of the Nats since 2009, been through a lot of trials and tribulations. We have never had a better season as a front office and as a major league staff than we have this year. We had to, when you talk about general manager, we had to manage generally throughout this season more so than I ever had in my career. We made more in-season moves than we ever did. We tweaked this roster more than we ever did. And I think that we were, I had to be out and about and in that clubhouse and talking to players and staff, more than we ever had because, Dave and I did. We had to keep the team up. And, again, it's a credit to Dave and his staff and those veteran players to keeping this thing afloat.
Joined by Mike Rizzo, the president of baseball ops, general manager of the Washington Nationals. They're heading to the World Series. And obviously, by sweeping the Cardinals, you have all this time off, which some people say can be a negative because players maybe get rusty. But the positive is you can set up your rotation however you want, and you can start, scouting both of the teams and have all your game plans set. I don't know if you're willing to break news, but can we expect Max in a game 1?
I don't want to break news because I don't have the information right now, but I would assume that we would go with Max 1 and Strauss 2, I would think.
Okay.
Maybe Corbin 2. I don't know, but we'll get you that information. But that's not going to be breaking news when it happens. We get to set up a rotation the way we want. It may matter, which team we play, what we do, but we've been advancing the American League throughout. That's just the way we do things. And again, there's a lot of scouts on the road right now, eating at hotels and watching our games on TV. So a shout out to those guys, and we will certainly be prepared to play whomever we play. You got 2 juggernauts in the American League that are going to be tough to beat no matter who we play. But there were a couple of juggernauts in the National League that were tough to play, and we beat them. So
no doubt,
it's going to be an entertaining World Series.
How do you fight that rust factor, Mike? Everybody's talked about it. I think 9 of the last 10 teams that have swept have ended up losing the World Series. Of course, you got to win every game, and that's because you're damn good. But there's got to be something to that.
Although Joe Girardi said small sample size.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to it. I remember when we win the division and you got 4 days off, and it's tough. If you think about it this way, you only have more than 1 day off throughout the season, one time, and that's the All-Star break, and that's
right.
a 4-day break. So you're almost like starting over. So we've got some plans in place. We have a workout today. We're going to have simulated games against the other part of our roster that we're traveling with us, but that are not playing. So we got to keep guys sharp. We're going to keep them competitive. We're going to work extremely hard and see if we can keep some kind of edge. But there's nothing like when they tee it up and they say play ball and it's time to go. So It's hard to simulate that, but we're going to do the best we can to keep their arms in shape, their legs in shape, and see some active pitching and live pitching. So it's a tricky thing. We will be rested. We'll have our rotation, our bullpen set up the way we want it. But they may be coming off the team we play may be coming off a big win or something like that. So we'll have to deal with that. But hey, what are you going to do? You got to play the games. It's the World Series, and we're going to get after it and represent the District of Columbia in the best way we can.
All right. So last one for you. We spent a segment or two taking calls from listeners speculating who would be the guy or gal who throws out the first pitch for the first World Series game in D.C. And we heard everything from Livan Hernandez, who threw the first official pitch for the Nationals, to Jason Worth, to Joe Gibbs, who brought 3 championships here to D.C. Does Mike Rizzo have any input in that? And can you give us any scoop?
Yeah, now you can break news if you want.
I have an opinion on it when I'm in the room. I don't think that my opinion is the strongest opinion out of everybody there. I think that's an ownership decision.
Okay.
But it's going to be somebody cool, and I have no idea. And those are 3 great names that you came up with. I know Livan Hernandez will throw a strike when he does throw out the first pitch, so
right.
That's him. But those are all great names, and it's with all the homegrown DC area people like the Katie Ledecky's of the world, who was great when she threw it out. There's a lot of different options. We're gonna come up with a bunch of cool people, and it's gonna be fun.